Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ron the Don. And today I wanted to speak about the recent ending of the government shutdown that has been raining headlines across numerous media outlets for the past month. I wanted to speak about that and also the recent election of Zoran Mamdani, the first Muslim mayor of New York City, and a Democratic civil war. In this video, I'm going to explain how these three incidents intertwined. Now, the recent ending of the government shutdown is comprised of 8 Democrats, moderate Democrats, caving into the Republican demands. Their demands of passing the clean CR, continuing resolution, that consists of Biden level spending from his administration. A clean CR. But however, the Democrats was holding out. They didn't want to sign the clean CR at first because of the Republicans being reluctant to extend the Obamacare subsidies, according to the Democrats. But however, the moderate Democrats has signed onto the clean CR, and the Republicans agreed to hold a vote to extend the Obamacare subsidies in December, which is next month. Now, the moderate Democrats has received, like John Fetterman, has received a lot of backlash from progressive Democrats and in the progressive base of the Democratic Party. The AOC's, the Bernie Sanders, and the now Mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani's base of New York City. And the newly elected mayor of Zoran Mamdani, he is the leader of that segment of the Democratic Party now. And this is one of the reasons why the Democrats didn't want to sign on to the clean CR2. This is another reason besides the Republicans not wanting to extend the Obamacare subsidies. They wanted to mobilize their voters, their voter base, to go out and vote for the Democratic candidates around the nation. They wanted them to vote for the Democratic candidates so they could win the election. But guess what? This holdout of the government shutdown, this hostage of the government shutdown, was for nothing, because the candidates like Zoran Mamdani won in New York City. That's a deep blue state. Prop 50, which in California, which consists of the redistricting of the voting maps in California. California is a deeply blue state, so that was going to pass regardless. Virginia, Abigail Spanberger was going to beat Winston Sears in Virginia. Virginia, I'm not sure if it's a deep blue state, but I would say it's moderately blue. They was gonna win. The Democrats was projected to win these races anyway. And in New Jersey, Mike Sherrill beat beat Cinderelli, Jack Cinderelli. I must be pronouncing his name, but whatever. Yeah, but he lost anyway. So hey, it don't matter. It don't matter what his name is. But yeah, if New Jersey's a deep blue state, so that was one of the other reasons that the Democrats didn't want to sign on to the clean CR, because they wanted to galvanize their voter base to vote for their candidates, so the candidates can win the election, their races last Tuesday. Now, but since Zohran Mamdani has won New York City, which is the financial district of the world, since a communist, he calls himself a socialist, a socialist Democrat, now a democratic socialist, but that's just a nicer term for a communist. Now, since a communist runs the financial capital of the world, that emboldens the more candidates from his side of the aisle, from his segment of the Democratic Party, which is led by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett, is going to embolden them to primary the moderate Democrats, which is Chuck Schumer and John Fetterman. And a lot of the Democrats, they received a lot of backlash from earlier. Like I said earlier, they received a lot of backlash, especially Chuck Schumer. Even though Chuck Schumer didn't sign on to wasn't one of the Democrats that voted on the clean CR by the Republicans. He wasn't one of them, but everybody know that Chuck Schumer is the leader. And now the progressive Democrats, their base is calling for him to resign. And then now he is subject to be primaried by AOC in 2028. So John Fetterman received a lot of backlash as well, even though he's a senator from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a swing state, so he's not going to face penalties for signing on to the CR. He's not going to face penalties for his action because that's a swing state. So it's these deep blue states, which is progressive Democrat, ran by progressive Democrats. It's these deep blue states such as New York, New Jersey, California. Virginia, maybe moderately Democrat, which is Abigail Spanberger, the moderate Democrat. So it's moderately blue. But now Zohran Mamdani, AOC, that progressive winning Democratic Party is going to run primaries against the establishment Democrats, including the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries. So now, but what that New York City mayor race did was usher in the progressive Democratic base. Brandon Johnson is already a progressive out in Chicago, but Zohran Mamdani is more progressive than Brandon Johnson. So most of these cities, and even San Diego, Los Angeles, Karen Bass, she's a progressive. Seattle, a lot of these coastal cities are progressive. But now, this moderate centrist Democrats is going to receive a lot more primary challenges from the progressive wing of the party, which is the epitome of the Democratic Civil War. Okay? Now, they're frustrated that the moderate Democrats didn't want to derail Trump's agenda. They wasn't obsessed with derailing Trump's agenda. They wasn't as obsessed with that as the progressives were over the food stamp situation. The moderate Democrats, in other words, the moderate Democrats cared more about the food stamps having 43 people being able to receive their food stamps. They cared more about that than derailing Trump's agenda. The progressive Democrats, they cared more about derailing Trump's agenda than they did about feeding 43 million people whose food stamps has been compromised, and some may be cut due to their inaction. They cared more about having 43 million people starve. They cared more about that. They cared more about sticking it to Trump and derailing his agenda than they did about carrying 43 million people of their constituents that's on food stamps. Make it make sense. But anyway, I digress, and that'll be it. That will conclude my video. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. I will catch y'all in my next video. Peace.